Hi everybody, Joel from JST Woodcraft here. Welcome to my shop. I've had a lot of questions on churning Alumilite, so I thought I'd take some time today and kind of go through my process and how I churn castings that I make. Maybe help some fellow wood churners out there or some people out there that are new to this. I have my blank mounted here on my churn between centers. Really like this setup, by the way. Works really well. And I just feel like my blank is more solid there. There's going to be a lot of voiceover in this video, so I apologize for not being traditional and recording as we go. But I have recently acquired a dust collection system, which has done wonders for the cleanup in my shop. But unfortunately, it is louder than I'm comfortable with having on a video. I don't think you'll be able to hear me. So we've named this. It is the black hole. So I'm going to get started here in a few minutes, and I'm just going to record it, and then we'll do a little conversation at the editing level. Two tools that I use when I do this. I start off, I use my skew. So, this is the much maligned skew chisel, something that I was not comfortable with not too long ago. But once you've gotten your sanding process down, or you're finishing your polishing process, and you can get this thing to almost a razor edge, it is a fantastic way to start out on your blanks. Really deals well with these rough edges and just kind of trimming it down to round. Once I get down to the round, I feel like the chisel can just take off a little too much than at least I'm comfortable with right now. So I move over to my Easy Wood tools. This is the circular or the round. It's called the CI3. You can see that there on the tool. And this is a wonderful thing. What I think really works well with this is the amount of this blade that contacts the piece is so tiny. It takes off very little at a time, creating a lot less stress on the tool. And as this dulls, I can just rotate this, and you get a lot of churn out of it before you need to take it off and sharpen it. These are sharpenable in the shop. I do it myself. Or you can buy them. I think these are around $16 a piece from Easy Wood Tools. There's other manufacturers out there that are cheaper. Haven't tried those. Just one thing to be careful with. You'll notice that all these tools come with this guide on it here. You do not want this extending beyond this line over your tool rest. If you go beyond that, the amount of torque that can take here, this thing get pulled right back up, damage your blank, and potentially damage yourself. So stay here. Notice my tool rest is extremely close, so I've got it, right nice and tight up, so I don't have a lot of distance covering here. Now today we're going to be rotating somewhere around 3,200 RPM. I find that works the best for me. And we're going to start off with our skew. We're going to move to this, and I'll have more discussion as we get going here. So let's get started. Alright, so my dust control system turned off here because my lathe is pulling so little current. My automatic switch doesn't kick in, something I have to tweak. So I'll go ahead and talk through the rest of the finishing process here. So I'm just using the sandpaper here to get myself down to my bushings and to get the basic profile that I'm looking for the blank. Now when I'm doing these for the bolt action, I like the slim nature of the bolt action, the smooth round shape of the tubes. So I try to get as straight up and down a profile as I can here. Now you'll notice I've slowed the lathe down to its lowest setting for the belts that I have configured right now, turning at about 1300 RPM. If you sand much higher than that, you generate a tremendous amount of heat, and heat's not good for this type of work. So you want to keep it slow. Let the sandpaper do the work. You'll also notice that I'm not pulling on the sandpaper very hard. I'm just allowing it to lightly touch and do its work. That way I keep the amount of friction down. Also reduces the amount of scratching that I'm doing to the blank. Stuff that I'm going to have to worry about taking out down the road. Alright, so now I'm just going to take this through my traditional grits here. That sandpaper before was emery cloth, 80 grit. And now working with the Abranet product. I love this stuff. It lasts forever. Well, not forever, but a lot longer than a piece of sandpaper. And I just love the finish that I get out of it. So I'm going to work through the grits on that. That's 180. Now I am going to move up to 240. And again, the goal here is to get a smooth product. You want to get as much of the scratches off as possible in this process. I'm not trying to really profile at this point, and I'm just trying to really work this plastic for the acrylic, the Alumilite, to a point to where it'll take a really good finish. So that was 320. This is 400. And you'll notice with each grit as I do this, you can almost start to see the shine come in. So when I wipe this with my hand, I take the dust off, you can really start to see the turned product. And then my last grit here in the dry grits will be 500. And as you get into higher grits, you're going to create more friction, you're going to create more heat. So you certainly want to be careful with that. What we're going to do is we're going to change the configuration here a little bit. I'm going to put a rag in here so that I don't get water all over the lathe bed and get it all rusty. Alright, so now we're going to move up to wet sanding. We're going to start with the micro mesh pads. We're starting at brown, which is 1500. And I found that you really need to give this good time. You know, the instinct here is to move through these real quickly, and it's fine towards the end, but these first few grits, this is where you get all the scratches off, and this is where your smooth surface comes from. And of course, the smoother the surface, the prettier your finish. Now you'll notice, you can see right up here that I'm already starting to get a shine line. And that is the acrylic getting soft, or not soft, but smooth. And that is our goal here. You'll also notice here on the pad, I'm starting to develop a little bit of a paste or a slurry. And that kind of lets me know that, you know, I'm taking off what I need to get this to look really good. Alright, now we're going to move up to 1800 grit. Green pad. Now you want to make sure you've got plenty of water in here lubricating. Again, friction is not your friend here when it comes to how much heat you could possibly generate. Now I'm going to do the same thing with this as I did with the 1500. I am going to develop a nice thick slurry. I'm going to give this a lot of time to work. As you do this over time, you can start to hear the change in the sanding. It starts off sounding kind of rough and starts to sound a little smoother. And it's kind of how you know you're ready to move on. And you can see I've developed quite a slurry here. And the shine is starting to really pick up. Okay. Next pad, 2400. Well, the neat thing with these pads, they have a very long life. You keep them dry. As I've shown in other videos, I purchased a couple of these condiment bottles, and that's where I keep the water in there. Squirt a little water on it, use my thumb to wipe off past sandings, and you're good to go. Now you do want to try not to sand your bushings. You know, these pads don't feel like they can do much, but they will certainly take down your bushing diameter over time, and that's going to really affect your finish. Okay, so now 3200. Now once I get through this, I'm gonna move a little quicker through the rest of the grits. I found that as you start to get up into the higher polishing grits, it's just not necessary to spend as much time on it. And I think you'll see in the end that we get a really nice outcome. Okay, next one, 36. And then 4000. Now again, this is where your friction can really come in. The smoother your sanding pad, the higher likelihood is that it is going to generate heat. So you definitely want to make sure that you're keeping everything wet and you're not applying too much pressure. Okay, 6000. $8,000. right, folks, well, there you go. So from raw blank to finished and polished blank, about 20 minutes of effort. And I think you can see here, really nice looking finished product. So there you go. Churning an Alumilite label casting using a large skew chisel and the CI3 from Easy Wood Tools carbide, and finishing. I hope that answers everyone's questions. If not, post a question below. I'll be happy to respond. Thank you so much for coming. Hope you enjoyed. Bye-bye.